Hello everyone, Asset Alliance here. I know you've been wanting to get another Goldbach video. Um, I think we'll be looking at NQ today instead of gold, just for the purpose that one of our subscribers has been wanting to see NQ, an example of NQ for Goldbach. Now we will go a bit deeper today on how to use the high, how to use the low, and the EQ paired with time price opportunity. What is time price opportunity? That is time price opportunity right here, right? So the point of control, value area high, value area low, unfinished auctions, which are these two blocks or 5 blocks, depending on how much there is. If it's at current low, that means there's an unfinished auction. It needs to be a sort of tell like this with a single print. This doesn't mean that it's not buy side or sell side. All it means is that it's a finished auction, right? So there's less chance of going there before going there, or there's a little bit less liquidity there than there. Now, point of control is something that acts the same as a magnet for your chart. So if price is above, it's probably going to come back lower into the point of control to retest, give out another displacement above, or come back down, break it, retest it again, and come back down again. So it would be like something like this, right? So come on, start price here. This is the previous day. You don't look at the current day, right? You look only at the previous day. So for this TPO, we'd be looking at this one. But let's say we're on this one. Price would be doing something like this, breaking out, retesting, higher prices, right? Or it'll be doing something like this, respecting, retest, lower prices, like this, right? So it really does depend on the setup and on what Goldbach gives you. Now this is only the Confluence you can use for a better view on Goldbach, right? So let's look at our Goldbach indicator on the 729, since it is on the automatic next PO3 number. Now you can do the main levels only, which would be the low, EQ, and high, which is what I use personally as my Confluences to know of discounted premium, since I use different ranges than the Goldbach ranges in terms of retraction levels, right? So these 0.29, 0.41, I do not use these in my current trading system. I only use the EQ, low, and a high just to have an idea of where I am. Now we'll keep the main we'll keep all the levels on and do well, we could do no extend lines, but I'll keep the extension just for now. Now this is on the 12-minute. On the 12-minute, it's a PO3 number. The time frame is really good, since not a lot of people talk about this, but time frames are extremely important to see the setups easier than on others. Like the 5 minutes for me is not at all something I'd be using. I haven't been using it for the past 2 years. I just keep it on there since it's one of the time frames. All of these time frames are available with my TAC indicator, so predetermined highs, predetermined lows. There's a video that I made. I'll be putting it up here for you all if you want to go watch it. It is a paid indicator, so yeah, just be wary about that. That is an indicator I made, so I'd rather it be something just I add into a Confluence for others that have bought my indicator. But if you haven't, this is not important for what we're going to look at today. So let's say, so this was a Friday, right? Today is Sunday. So if we look at price from Friday on the 18th, this is our open of the day, right? And then you have the other 18 right here for the next open. So if we look at current day from Friday, we use previous day TPO for your Confluences, okay? So for your Confluence, you have your value area low that you want to mark out with a single line. Now Damn, I'm on the wrong chart. Okay, wait a sec. This is not the same TPO. So let me just go back here. I'll go back on my normal one. Now let me a sec just to change the chart. Okay, so now we're looking at now we're looking at NQ, right? With the right PO3 number. That was my fault. We're on 729 now. So pretty much, let's do the extension just to see. Yeah, right there. And we'll keep all the levels on just for showing purposes. All right. So let's look at, we have our 18 there and we have our 18 there. Coming back to 12-minute time frame. Now you can also use this on the 3-minute if you want to be using like the 243 PO3 number. But do keep in mind your next PO3 range, since that is the one that will give you longer term trades, right? So bigger space means bigger trade. Now Asia was accumulating a lot, so you don't really want to look at that much on NQ. On gold you can, since it's, well, that's why it's my preferred time frame, not time frame, but asset. But still, here we will do what I was trying to do on gold. You want to mark out your value area low, mark out your value area high, which we never got to tap into. Here is an unfinished auction. So what does that mean, unfinished auction? As I said before, when you have more than one block at the high of your day or at the low of the day, that is an unfinished auction. Same for here. You had an unfinished auction at your previous day low. So that means it was sell side and buy side liquidity, but those were confirmed, engineered buy side and sell side by volume, right? Then you have what you call a shelf. So when there's less volume coming in, like here, a big drop in volume, you want to mark it out until the end of your big drop. So this would be a really big zone. I wouldn't be using that. You could, but that's a really, really big zone. You could be using this as a small shelf right there. This is a small shelf. Now here would have been another one, really small one. So this one you don't really want to look at too much, but it's still there for you. And another shelf right here. Right, so we never got to tap back into that one. With all this done, you got to keep in mind that if you have a tail or something along those lines getting created, so here it's unfinished auctions, it's not a good example, but let's say you have a tail like this getting created at a PD array of your choice, so a high probability PD array or Goldbach level, that means there's exhaustion in price, right? So there's an absorption of the sellers for buyers to come in, right? So lower volume means you're probably going to respect your trade, not your trade, but your PD array, but then higher prices. Or here, respect it for then lower prices. You know, you got to look at your volume, what happens, and if everything is nice. Now you have your volume profile on the side here, which you want to mostly just mark out the point of control, which is the small gray line right here, right? Now here we don't really need to mark it out, since that's not the example we're using previous day, right? So for previous day we had your shelf here and your point of control of volume profile. So these are the important parts from previous day. Just put them right. Now, as I said, it's only a Confluence to help with looking at the Goldbach range. So here was an unfinished auction of previous day, so sell side was what you wanted to go and take, right? You were way closer to the sell side to the buy side, and you had bearish trend. Now here if we look closely, let's take off the SMT. You don't really need the second pane for this right now. SMT is always going to be something you want to be looking at, but right now we're not going to look at that for now. Now, if you look closely here, you were accumulating during Asia. As I said, you don't really want to be looking too much to be trading during Asia on NQ. I would really recommend trading gold for that. But here we got a retest of our shelf and a retest of our value area low, and price decided to go lower after. But what do we also have at the value area low and the shelf? We decided to respect the consequent encroachment. If we do our quadrants, we decided to respect the consequent encroachment of the liquidity void partition, right? So that consequent encroachment, so the non-GB level, the CE level of the GB level, got respected, never closed over, with the shelf and VAL getting retested for then lower prices. Once you have your second retest, as I said before, the moves between shelf would be something like this, right? Or something like this. These would be the patterns. Most of the time you're just going to get a retest, a second retest of your shelf, or a second retest of your point of control to get some people out of their trades and then give out prices. If some of you also know accumulation, manipulation, distribution, but the price action version of it, not our timed version of it, this is the accumulation. You had a manipulation of your high of Asia pretty much. Ah, come on. Manipulation, and then we distributed for lower prices, right? Now there's exact specific times which we've been working on with my team. They are going to be made public into an indicator. Again, it's going to be a paid indicator. I'm sorry guys, but we're putting a lot of time into this and nothing's really free in terms of these kinds of projects. I am going to give out free sauce, and I'm going to be more active on YouTube to help some people, but our own system, our own projects will not be free. Yeah, value area low, came back into it, and then we came back to the OB partition after taking our sell side that we wanted to take, right? This stack candle was your high probability PD array, retested into it and retested into the previous stack candle also, but then lower prices. What was your end of sequence? This was your actual low, right? +1, sweep the low, couldn't close under it, so then you're expecting a reversal at this point. Now again, there's exact timings for that, but we're only looking at the Goldbach range here. You can also use this and put on your Goldbach range. Now you see we're at the OB partition, but then lower prices, higher prices into our eye. It's pretty simple. You just want to be using TPO as a confluence to help you have an idea of where you want to go, right? Now, on our current day here, this low was an unfinished auction. So that's your confirmed sell side liquidity. There's a good chance that once we reopen this week on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, this is going to be a low we're going to be taking, and we're not going to be respecting this low of Goldbach. We're probably just going to go into our extension. If we do decide to stay bearish, it is going to go to the extension instead of respecting that low. Now this is what TPO helps you with. It helps you understand which level will be a confirmed level for the next day, right? So that's what we're looking at for Friday. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm just gonna delete this. So then if we look at previous days, we're going to be looking at, we looked at this day. So then we're going to be looking at this one. Come on, baby. Okay. So this would be the day we're looking at now, since we already looked at these 2 days. This to this. So this is the TPO we'd be using for that day. Now the single prints like this are called excess. You mark them out like this. They are levels you don't really want to close over, and if you do close over, it's going to do a break, retest, and higher prices for displacement. Now we have a second excess here. That's how you pretty much top take or bottom take with Goldbach paired with it. We could be using a 243, not a 243. Okay, now we're on 729. We could be using a 243 range if you're looking at price like this. So extension partition into the excess for the higher prices, but that's not what we're looking at. We never touched the excess during our next day. This was an excess we touched in the day right after, since it was never mitigated. Want to mark out your point of control. Now this is going to be a long video, I'm sorry guys, but I really have to go over all the basics for you and to make you completely understand how to use those confluences together with Goldbach. Value area low. So marking out all these, we'll come back to our 729 range, since that is the most optimal range for longer term trades. So yeah, at this point would have been back into this range. But a point that you want to keep in mind, there's a shelf here. And your second volume point of control here. Just putting everything right. So at this point, we'll just shift the dealing range +1 so that we can see what happened during that day. Right. So for this day here, I really can't see the price. I think I'll just do the replay panel because it's going to be easier to see. I just put it here. Right. It's just going to be way easier to see here. Where's my Goldbach range? Okay, perfect. So you had your rejection block here, a rejection block partition, for then lower prices into the extension, into our volume point of control instead of being the TPO point of control. It did close under it for then higher prices. Now you got to keep in mind that the order block partition is right under here, the high pretty much partition for the shifted Goldbach range. Oh, this is liquidity void. Well, this would have been one of those, if you didn't have TAC, if you didn't have timings, would have been one of those pretty sketchy trades. For me, it would have been pretty easy. You have a retest into the actual discounted BISI. So this is the most discounted candle of its own sequence, right? So each TAC, as I said, is a high probability PD array. So we came back into this BISI for then higher prices. Now you can keep in mind the consequent encroachment of the liquidity void. We're going to come back to our normal shift. And so it's pretty easy, okay? Value area low, you went under it, so this means that you're in your discounted range, because value area high and value area low are the true premium and true discount of your range. They're at 68%, right? So if you see my settings here for TPO, this is my settings for TPO, block size 15, auto row size, and my value area percent needs it to be at 68%, which is the mathematically correct percentage to use for TPO. Now we're only looking at the daily, but I'll make another video because TPO also works on the weekly and on the monthly. Now, if we look at it closely here, right? So as I said, you don't really want to trade Asia. It's just accumulating a lot on NQ. I don't trade Asia on NQ. I actually don't even trade NQ. I just trade gold. But there was a lot of asking to do a trade in there. So here, value area high. We came back into the true premium of our volume plus a BPR, right? So that kind of BPR here is where you want to have the most high probability setup for lower prices, right? Came back into the CB / BPR for volume, 0.29 LV level above the premium, but then lower prices. Came back into the shelf, which is also the consequent encroachment of OB, but couldn't close back over the point of control. Now, what did I say? When you retest the point of control but can't close above it, it's just going to retest it a second time, but then going for lower prices. This is what we had here. Point of control, lower prices, came back into the low here, but we closed under the shelf. If you close under the shelf and there's an unfinished auction a bit lower here, was there an unfinished auction here? Okay, there's no unfinished auction. It was only the shelf. No low volume nodes. Alright, I'm back. My fault. I had to go eat. But yeah, point of control right at our 0.111 extreme. Did decide to come back and take some liquidity, but that's because we didn't finish the sequence yet. So the sequence was still bearish, with the +1 being a high, but then lower prices for bearish until the next stack. This was the end of sequence to come back bullish until the next sequence. We came back into our GP range, closed back above the shelf, so you can take a buy in here, or you take a buy at the value area low, or the point of control at the 0.111 extreme. But it's pretty simple, I'm not gonna lie. If you keep in mind also the algorithmic signature, so rejection block, breaker to fair value gap, and then coming back up to order block, right? So yeah, it's just it's pretty simple, I guess, in a way. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of how to use the TPO. Now, I personally do not use, as I said, the GB levels and everything. I just keep on my main levels only. I use my tack sequences, so let's say we're in a discounted Goldbach range. I'd use the next Goldbach low, not Goldbach low, but tack low to well, pretty much get a buy after taking some kind of liquidity or coming back into an HTF PD array. Now, same thing here. If you're in premium, I look for sells. This is a mathematical range, so you're pretty much in the right discount and the right premium all the time, which is why I only keep the main levels. All of the levels just are too much for me. The algorithmic signature does not work most of the time. It is there. You're gonna get the first moves, so rejection block, breaker to fair value gap, to then maybe EQ, but it's not like other YouTubers for Goldbach say, like, oh, it's 100% win rate. No. If you do the algorithmic model right and everything, it's gonna go all the time to order block or to liquidity void. Not at all, right? So the algorithmic signature will help you for the first part of it, but then in terms of TP, in terms of everything else, it is completely based off of what price action is giving you, not off of what the algorithm is giving you. So like I said, the first steps are good, but then in the end steps, so like rejection block, breaker to fair value gap is good, but until order block, that will probably get caught, get cut early, right? That's pretty much it. Like if we look at TPO a little bit more, this day, try to find here. So single prints inside of the TPO, but not at the low nor at the highs. Those are imbalances, right? So you can use those like this. Imbalances. So then you can see that current day. New day was here. So new day right here. These two imbalances were pretty much where we respected the levels. Here it came back into it, but just to come back into the BPR and CB, but then lower prices, right? These imbalances can be used. Oops, wrong day, wrong day. You could still use those. It's the only imbalances in these and all these TPOs. That's the only imbalances there is. So it is something you can use in the future, but the right date would have been here. So here, new start of day came back into imbalance for then lower prices. This was a pretty nice top take you could have gotten for then lower prices into the low of EQ. Not low of EQ, but EQ, right? At the EQ, there's always some kind of level that you can use right there. So you can always use some levels like this for a better entry. Me, I would have had this important low right behind the tech for higher prices. It's pretty simple. Goldbach in itself, yes, can be a good system. Yes, is an all-round nice thing. But I'd say that for all the people that really want to get into Goldbach, do not waste your time too much on it. Learn the right confluences. Learn how to use it paired with something else. But do not use it alone. Goldbach alone will not help you much. There's also Goldbach time, which is pretty fucking nice if you add that to your Goldbach system. But that's pretty much it for today. I just wanted to go over a little bit of NQ, how it works, how to pair up TPO with Goldbach. Now, value area lows and value area highs, as I said, are really important, right? So you can use those as like some good support resistance. Putting control again is a magnet. Do not forget about the unfinished auctions. So like here, there's an unfinished auction. Did we ever go and take it? We never went and take it. That one here was an unfinished auction. Went back and took it, then retested for then lower prices. So just the shelves, I'd say, are way less important than the major parts. So the value area low, VAH, POC, and the unfinished auctions. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Volume point of control also is pretty nice. You can use low volume nodes like here and here as somewhat of a fair value gap, so something you want to come and fill up, or something you want to respect in a way, right? So this is a low volume area node right there. That was previous day, and then on current day the low volume area node was respected. Now if we look at another low volume, which would be here, low volume area node here, and nothing else. So this is the only low volume area node. Do we have anything? Broke out and then gave out lower prices. It's nice. As I said, you gotta use this paired with a lot of other things. Gotta use this paired with Goldbach, gotta use this paired with time cycles, macros, 45 to 15. So here, let's see. Our 45.15 would have been here, right? So the candle right after it, but technically on the 15-minute you'd be seeing the 45.15. I'd be using it on the 3-minute personally, but your entry would have been from there to 15, right? So an entry here, but then lower prices, giving out into this BISI or into the previous tag candle, which was here. So this is your high probability PD ray. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Y'all have a good night, great day, great month, great week, great year if I don't see you again. And if I do, I hope it'll be in my group. Leave a like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell. Y'all have a good night, bro.